She was deleting messages again. I watched her from the reflection in the microwave door, one hand scrolling, the other tapping rapidly. She didn't see me come in. She never noticed much when she was on the burner phone. I stood still, didn't speak, didn't move. She laughed under her breath. Short, intimate, the kind you don't give to a sick husband. When she heard the kettle click off behind me, she turned. "Oh, hey, babe, I was just ordering your supplements." She smiled like she meant it, walked over, kissed me on the cheek. "Still got that little fever?" I nodded once. I didn't look at the phone she tucked behind a pillow. The red flags were small but sharp. She began sleeping in the guest room. Said she didn't want to disturb my rest. She brought meals on a tray like she was checking a box. She texted more than she spoke, laughed more into her phone than at anything I said. One day her phone lit up on the counter, a message preview. "Kay, miss your mouth. Same time next week?" She picked up the phone fast, said it was spam, smiled, kissed my forehead. I didn't flinch, just noted the time. 8:12 p.m. Wednesday. That same night she Googled, "Can terminal patients change beneficiaries?" She didn't bother clearing her history, just minimized the tab. I spent the next week watching her rehearse grief. She told her coworkers I was so brave, posted a filtered photo of us from last year with the caption, "Cherish every moment." I was in the kitchen when she uploaded it. I started getting sympathy letters from people I hadn't spoken to in years. She was already preparing the narrative. I pretended not to notice. When I collapsed in the hallway from dehydration, she stepped over me to get her ringing phone. Said she thought I was just tired. I logged it. Like everything else, I began documenting, quietly, dates, emails, patterns, how often she left the house, how long she stayed gone, the subtle shifts, when she stopped refilling my meds on time, when she left the grocery bags out for me to bring in, when she stopped correcting people who asked if she was holding up okay. Then came the hotel receipt. Downtown, one night, 2 guests. Same day she claimed she was driving her aunt to a clinic. She didn't even bother hiding the paper copy, just tossed it in the recycling. That was the turning point. She wasn't being sloppy. She wanted me to see it. She thought I was too weak to care, too close to dying to do anything about it. And maybe I was, until that moment, because the rage didn't come all at once. It came as precision. No yelling, no confrontation, just calculation. I reviewed my will, revised the emergency contact list, switched my power of attorney to an old friend who owed me a favor and wouldn't ask questions. I began responding to her with vague phrases. "Whatever you think is best, that's fine. I trust you." And she ate it up. Because people like Jenna don't love empathy. They love obedience. She didn't know I'd been moving the assets into a trust under another name. She didn't know I'd closed the life insurance clause that gave her access on proof of death. She didn't know I'd begun scheduling check-ins with hospice providers just to build a paper trail. She thought she was watching me die, but I was watching her audition for widowhood, and I had no plans to stop the performance. Not yet. Let her keep smiling for the camera. Let her cry on cue, because the finale was coming, and she was going to fund it. She never asked why I stopped eating the meals she made, never questioned why I kept the guest room door closed. She was too busy making sympathy posts. It started small, a caption on a photo, "Holding his hand through the hard days. Cancer doesn't get to win." Then it grew, a public fundraiser, shared by her friends, then mine, then co-workers, all built around her, the brave wife supporting her sick husband. I watched the donations come in, thousands. She added photos of me sleeping, said she'd blurred my face for privacy. The irony didn't need a filter. She hosted a live stream for cancer awareness, wore soft makeup, spoke about the emotional toll. Her voice cracked at the right moment. People messaged me privately. how lucky I was to have her, how inspiring she was, how proud they were of our love. She never mentioned the hotel key card I found in her coat pocket, or the fact that I knew that brand of cologne wasn't mine. I didn't confront her. She was using my illness for attention. I let her. I even let her take more pictures of pills on my nightstand, of my hand hooked around an IV line. Then I started taking my own. Screenshots of her posts, names of donors, the bank account she linked. She forgot that people pay attention to details when they think they're dying. One day I overheard her on the phone. She thought I was asleep. "He won't make it past Christmas," she said. "And when it's over, I just want peace." That's when the idea took shape. I didn't have to confront her. I didn't even have to accuse her. I just had to disappear in the exact way she was pretending I already had. Let her grieve publicly. Let her collect the sympathy. Let her build the narrative. Then let the truth hit after the applause. No anger, no announcement, just absence, and then a very expensive reminder. She didn't know what it meant to bury someone while they were watching, but she would, and she'd pay for the funeral. The day I chose to vanish, I started with my will. Not because I planned to die, because I needed her to think I had. Everything about my diagnosis was real. Stage 3 lymphoma, immunocompromised, energy fading. But the part where I was running out of time, that was theater. The part where I asked her to make decisions on my behalf, calculated. Every form she signed was real. Every decision she made, traceable. I took medical leave from the firm, quietly, not through HR, but directly with the founder, who owed me a favor. I said I needed personal time and requested confidentiality. He agreed. No farewell email, no circulation, just one less chair in a corner office. Then I sold the car, transferred the title to a reseller, paid off the remaining balance on my insurance policy. Not life insurance, home, health, everything she wouldn't notice. Everything that would vanish without a forward address. I emptied my personal bank account. Not fast, not obvious. A few hundred every day into a secondary debit account she didn't know existed. Then I paused the statements on the joint account. She'd assumed the cancer made me forgetful, but I remembered everything, including the passwords she thought I'd stopped using. The cancer charity I'd volunteered for once hosted a fundraiser called Silent Goodbye. I borrowed the idea. I created a private donation link in my name, anonymous, framed it as a farewell fund, supporting other patients going through chemo. The bio was simple. He gave his best years helping others. Now it's our turn. No mention of my condition, just enough ambiguity to imply what she wanted people to think. I sent the link to her friends, her family, even her coworkers, all from a burner email that matched the name of a hospital social worker I'd once met. I knew her circles well. I'd memorized the kinds of messages they responded to, the kinds of guilt that made them donate. Within 2 days, the donations started rolling in. But that wasn't the win. The win came when she shared the link herself. She added a caption on her social media. "He fought hard. We don't know how much time is left. Every share helps support families like ours." No one questioned it, not even the people who'd seen me weeks earlier. People trust grief more than they trust inconsistencies, especially when the person grieving is crying in public. She didn't know I was watching from a burner account, didn't know I was tracking every donation, didn't know I was saving screenshots, every share, every fake tear, every claim of end-of-life decisions. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is loud. I was focused, and focus is silent. I let her believe the narrative, let her plan the sympathy brunch, let her speak at 2 local fundraisers in my name. The second one had a slideshow. She wore a black dress. She told them I was gone. She told them I went peacefully. I watched the recording twice. That's when I knew the final act was ready. I booked a private cabin 3 hours north, paid in cash. used an alias. No IDs, no traces. Just a man going off-grid. Exactly how the story needed to end. I packed light. Clothes, meds, copies of everything. I left my wedding ring in the drawer before I left. Not out of symbolism, out of accuracy. Let her wonder when it slipped off. Then I sent the message. One line, sent from a new number, to her phone, to her email. Just one sentence. You'll receive the funeral invoice within the week. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. I'd already written the ending. I almost got caught that Tuesday. Jenna was checking our old shared email, the one linked to my treatment records. I'd forgotten it was still saved on the laptop in the living room. She opened the screen just as I was logging in remotely from the cabin to send a proof of the fake memorial card to a printer. The connection hiccuped. A sync error blinked. Concurrent login detected. Unrecognized device. I killed the tab, cut the Wi-Fi, waited. 30 minutes later, she posted a story, her holding a latte at a cafe downtown, captioned, "Resting and remembering. I miss you." She hadn't noticed a thing. She chalked the glitch up to poor connection. I didn't flinch, because if she ever stopped to think, this whole house of cards would collapse. But she wasn't thinking. She was performing, and the curtain hadn't dropped yet. The day I chose to vanish, I didn't rush. I began with my will, not because I planned to die, but because she needed to believe I already had. Everything about my diagnosis was real. Stage 3 lymphoma, immunocompromised, energy fading, but the part where I was running out of time, that was theater. The part where I gave her medical authority, that was calculated. Every form she signed was real. Every call she made to hospice was logged. Every decision she took over, traceable. She thought she was stepping up. In reality, I was letting her hang herself with precision. I took medical leave, not through the standard HR chain, but directly through the founder of the company, a man who owed me a favor and didn't ask questions. I said I needed full privacy for end-of-life transition. No internal announcement, just one less badge on the access board. I sold the car, quietly, paid cash to wipe the title and transferred ownership to a reseller who specialized in quiet exits. I knew the type. I'd built routing networks for clients like that. Then I rerouted the bank, not the joint account. That would have been obvious. I created a new debit card linked to an LLC I'd set up years ago for tax sheltering. Transferred no more than a few hundred a day, small enough to go unnoticed, slow enough to look like incidental spending. I paused statements on the joint account. She assumed I was too foggy to manage it. She was wrong. I remembered everything, even the passwords she thought I'd forgotten. I built a quiet withdrawal. The cancer charity I'd once volunteered with had hosted a fundraiser called Silent Goodbye. I liked the name. I borrowed it, repurposed it, created a private donation page, framed vaguely as a memorial aid effort. I didn't use words like death or final wishes, just transition, comfort, and support for those left behind. I kept the tone ambiguous, the kind of ambiguity grief loves. Then I sent the link to her friends, her family, her work circle, not from my name, from a burner account tied to a former hospice social worker I once helped during a logistics snafu. A believable cover, no red flags. The donation started small, but it wasn't the money that mattered. It was when she shared the link herself. She posted it with a photo of me from our last vacation, filtered to grayscale, captioned with a soft plea. He gave so much to others. If you're able, please help me give him peace. There were likes, shares, comments full of prayer emojis and hearts. Someone posted, "What a beautiful soul. So sorry for your loss." I watched them pile in, watched her repost each one, watched her schedule the sympathy brunch. She wore black to the event, said she wasn't ready for the memorial yet, told them, His spirit's already gone. I just want to honor what's left. I watched the live stream. People cried. People donated. People called her strength inspirational. She never once mentioned that I was still breathing, never hesitated when someone called her a widow. I started the timer. 2 weeks. Just enough time to let the sympathy congeal, let the lie grow heavy. Then came the final line, the one she couldn't cross without being buried by it. She requested a private cremation ceremony, closed casket, no viewing, no ashes distributed, just his wishes, she said. That was my cue. Jenna received the invoice 3 days after the sympathy brunch. It was addressed to her, not Mrs. Anything, just her full legal name, typed clean across the header. The sender? Holden and Leak, Funeral Logistics and Charitable Settlements. It was a shell, but a convincing one. Logo, office address, working phone number, auto-responding email. The breakdown was detailed. Donation disbursement coordination, $3,900. Private ceremony, arrangement fee, $2,750. Non-disclosure, courier, and final message. Prep, $1,200. Grief platform licensing, prorated, $850. Digital memorial hosting and media cleanup, $1,440. Total, $10,140. Due upon receipt. It came with a QR code that redirected to a silent black web page. No name, no photos, just a single quote. Thank you for your help giving him peace. Below it was a tracker showing live donation amounts. She posted about the bill, publicly, not with questions, just confusion. Does anyone know if this is legit? Just got this. Cameron didn't mention this before he passed. I waited, watched as her followers, those who donated, began to reply. Then came the second wave of posts, comments from people who noticed something was off, a cousin who said they hadn't seen an obituary, a co-worker who remembered Cameron speaking clearly about not wanting a memorial, a nurse who attended the cancer center said she hadn't seen him in over a month. One man asked plainly, "Where's the death certificate?" That's when she stopped replying. That's when the messages stopped altogether. I kept the pressure quiet. No announcements, no confrontations. I contacted the donation platforms directly, attached screenshots of her posts, public quotes, and the full donation history, each transfer time-stamped. Attached a notarized statement from myself, signed under my real name, that I was alive. I wasn't asking for charges. I was asking for audits. They froze the funds, 3 separate platforms, $9,471 suspended in total. Not a fortune, but enough. I didn't want the money. I wanted the receipts. Each one emailed to her, CC'd to the contacts who'd contributed. Clean formatting, no accusations, just line items and transaction disputes. That was the first break. The second came at her workplace. Apparently, she'd used their email server to send at least one of the memorial updates. Their internal legal flagged it when they received the audit inquiry. HR called her in for misuse of professional channels. She was placed on leave, without pay. I didn't need to gloat. Her absence was louder than any announcement I could have made. Then I sent her the final message. From my real number this time. It said, "You said goodbye before I did. We're even now. No threats, no demands, just closure she couldn't respond to." She never replied, but her sister did. One message, 4 words. "You're colder than cancer." I deleted it, because she was wrong. Cancer doesn't plan ahead. I did. I didn't watch her spiral. I didn't need to. What mattered had already happened. Her name, once whispered with sympathy, now followed by quiet hesitation. Her grief, once curated, now considered content. Her story, once tragic, now tragicomic. And me, I walked past it all like a man at his own funeral, taking notes. I rented a new apartment under my full name, Cameron Holt, not the obituary alias. 2 hours inland, dry air, clean silence. I bought a second-hand espresso machine and spent my mornings building back the parts of me she couldn't monetize. The media never found me because I didn't chase the camera. I let her wear the lens flare alone. Occasionally, I'd check the public threads. The donation platform issued formal letters to contributors, offering refunds. Some accepted, some didn't. One man wrote, "Grief is cheap these days. Glad I kept my receipt." Another thread dissected her posts, one by one. The filters, the language, the identical captions reused from cancer forms. A Reddit group cross-referenced her live photos and found they were staged, edited from old uploads, time-stamped from before my diagnosis. There were no court cases, no mugshots, just vacancy. Event invitations she stopped receiving, partnerships she no longer represented, a silence she couldn't fill with hashtags. And in that silence I healed, not just from chemo, from her. I kept one thing, a photo, not the black and white one she posted, the real last photo. She had taken it months ago, while I slept upright in the armchair, the IV stand beside me. I looked worn, pale. She left it undeleted in her iCloud folder. I found it before I disappeared. I printed it, kept it taped to the back of my wardrobe mirror, not as a reminder of sickness, but of survival. Because I lived, not in spite of her performance, but because I stopped playing along. They said grief has 5 stages. She skipped straight to monetization, and I chose silence, the real kind. No exposure, no lawsuit, no obituary corrections, just distance. She kept the last name. I didn't fight her for it. Why would I? Let her wear the weight of a name she tried to bury. Let her explain it when strangers ask, "Wasn't your husband?" Let the silence finish the sentence. She tried to make me a symbol, but symbols have stories. Mine isn't hers anymore. I was the one she rehearsed mourning. Now I'm the one who walked away. The truth didn't need a microphone. It needed space, and she gave me all of it.